Pitchard over the top for Diaku, who's causing problems this afternoon down his right-hand side. Diaku easily gets past his man. Diaku! Oh!
Hello and welcome to a very happy, positive and probably beaming What the Falk Sunderland review show. What a difference a week makes. Sunderland put in one of, if not the best performance of the season to defeat promotion rivals Plymouth Argyle 2-1 at the Stadium Light on Saturday and put themselves far closer to the top two. We've got no opposition fan today, but we do have a regular and a returning guest to discuss the game. First and foremost, we'll go with the regular. Dave Lawrence, how are you doing, mate? You all right?
Yeah, good, mate. Yourself?
Still half asleep, but sorry. If I'm honest, I'm nothing if but honest. And for his first return since a very scary Halloween appearance in Sunderland's 5 undefeated Rotherham, he'll be pleased that he's back for a win. Sunderland Central Scotland branches Dan Pugh. How are you? You all right?
Yeah, good, mate. Yeah, good to be back, especially under these circumstances. So yeah, looking good.
I'm really impressed. I got Sunderland Central Scotland supporters branch out there.
Yeah, it's good.
Proper tongue tie. Dave, I'll come to you first. I think we're all positively beaming. Everyone's really happy. I've noticed people are enjoying the win yesterday because there's more likes on anything I just basically post on the page, which is always handy. How are you feeling after the game?
Yeah, elated, I guess. It's first half was very, 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 very good. Obviously, the 2 goals. Nice to see things which are clearly being worked on the training pitch coming off in a game. Not too much to complain about, I don't think, which is, as we know, for me, is quite unique, really. I've normally got something to whinge about. But no, Morecambe through the week and then Saturday, it just shows you, and I think one of the lads on the Sunderland commentary yesterday absolutely hit the nail on the head, which I don't normally say too much for because they're not my favourite listen, if I'm honest. There's many a time that I listen to the game muted, I won't lie. But every time, and this is including when we started with Jack Ross in League One, every time we play on the front foot and we get high up the pitch and we get in their faces and we play with a bit of verve, a bit of swagger, a little bit of, Bertie big bollocks, nobody copes with us. Just nobody copes with us. And it's just like, Bowers loves the fact that I mention him on this show most weeks because me and Bowers always have a bit of chat here and there. So I'll drop his appearance in early. He was saying last night about game management, and he was a little bit fraught at the idea of trying to score a third goal when we were 2-1 up. And I'm like, nah, I'm all for it. I don't care. I'd rather, and I understand what he's saying, there is a time and a place for it, but I'd rather concede the equaliser when we're trying to score a third goal than I would concede the equaliser by holding the ball in the opposition's corner.
When I got in the car last night, my mum was like, "Oh, that was quite close, 2-1," and I was like, it felt like a 4-1 though. That's the thing, and I know it was tight in the end because of the scoreline. But like you say, going for it, it did feel like we were going for the third and the fourth and the fifth, as opposed to just going, oh, hang on a bit. If anything, it was Plymouth maybe pushing us back a little bit towards the end, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, when you're playing that open style of football, you're going to have tired legs. Let's be honest, the pitch looked heavy. It's had a lot of feet in it for the last couple of weeks. And so, yeah, it's bound to happen. We don't have the biggest squad at the minute because of everyone being injured. But I think it's just like, for as much as I was harsh with, maybe it's not harsh because of the results, but it wasn't so much the results. It was more the way we were playing with Johnson. And it just wasn't, it looked deliberate, it looked slow, it looked lethargic. Whereas if you listen to the podcast for the first 8 or 9 games of the season, I was over the moon. I was like, this is it. This is how we're going to play football. And it shouldn't matter who's playing. We should have an identity of how we play. Because at this level, we should be able to stamp our authority on most games. And that's even coming up against the likes of Rotherham, Sheffield, Ipswich. We should still be able to put our foot down, put on the gas and get in front of their faces. Nobody is that much better than each other at this league. And yeah, so when we kind of lost the injuries, it's almost as if he said to the rest of the squad, right, you're not good enough to play the way I want to play. And we've stalled, basically. And now he's gone back. Okay, he's found a system which is working for him. We're in people's faces, and that's the result that you get yesterday. That first half was great.
I love it, me, when like you listen back to the previous podcast and how raging I am. And I look back at my previous tweets as I'm deleting them. That's the beauty of a review podcast, and the same goes for Report, Wiseman Say, Speak Sunderland. Anyone who does these podcasts, when you put yourself on the line, you put your opinions on a recorded podcast, and sometimes you get it wrong. Like one of them things, do you know what I mean? Like I was delighted. I'll be honest, I was quite happy. I read the cannot wait until 5 p.m. next Saturday, Graham, when we all despise the club again, wanted Falk, want Lee Johnson bagged. Quote tweeted on my photo yesterday I posted that says, I fucking love this football club. Privately, I was also sent that by Phil from the supporters branch, who was on a couple of weeks ago, last week, I think. And he sent me that tweet followed by a message that sent him saying, I fucking hate this football club. And he was just like, what a difference a week makes. But that's the beauty of football, and I think that's why you love it. And, you know, a week is a long time in football. And sometimes you think things, and you know what, I'm delighted Lee Johnson at the minute has proved me wrong, but the season is long. I'll forgive him when he gets us promoted as champions with 100 points. Dan, what was your feeling after the game?
Yeah, just echoing what Dave was saying there, to be honest. And actually, the thing that I really enjoyed about it, particularly in the second half, also the goals in the first half were class. Some of the attacking play was really good. But the second half, because they have to shift around a bit, obviously Gooch going off. So again, you having to shift the team around when you probably wouldn't have done at that point. Doyle going to left back is fine. I like Doyle at left back. I think he's good there. Obviously, Embleton's not a natural centre fielder in the way they had to play there yesterday. But yesterday, the second half for me, it's the best I've seen them play, just winning the ball back and getting stuck in and just nicking it off their toes. The amount of times some of it was probably because we lost the ball, but then we won and got it back within the second, or just like, I know they got a few, positions in the box that looked a bit dangerous, and obviously if they had a bit better fishing, we might have troubled Hoffman a bit more. But the thing I keep thinking about, I've been thinking about the game since it finished yesterday, was particularly on that right hand side. I think a lot of the play was on our right, on their left, our right in the second half. And Winchester, Ross Stewart, Dan Neil, the amount of times they were just snapping into people and just getting off the toes before they even had a chance to play it forward to give the lads at the back a bit of a break. I think, the fitness. Like David said, the pitch, there's had 3 home games on the bounce, is it? Something like that. So the pitch is looking bad, obviously, this time of year. You forget about that, really, because you expect us to have a really good pitch all the time because of the team and club that we are. But it was heavy, and the lads were putting in a shift, and even right to the end, like Jack, who Broadhead, closing everything down. And I think that the fitness and the desire in the second half was what I really enjoyed. Obviously, the goals are class goals. We know they can do that kind of stuff before. The set piece routines, getting dangerous balls in the box and just getting a finish, and that's always going to be there. I think when the strikers are in confident moods like Broadhead and that, but it's just that teamwork in the second half, the battling, and I say we didn't give them time, and they were probably a bit slow on the ball. They were probably looking for different options, and I don't see why. But just getting in on the toes and just getting the ball off them was brilliant. I really enjoyed that.
The first half was like really good. Like, it's great when you go 2-0 up in like 13 minutes, but like, I enjoyed the second half more. I know that's absolutely mental, but I totally agree with you, because it was like we were winning all the loose balls, and we've long said it's something. It's a cliche now. We enjoy a tackle more than a goal, but like that was what it was yesterday. Like, there was a moment, and people who went in the southwest corner or the area probably wouldn't have seen it. And it was not long after Callum Doyle, 17, 18-year-old Callum Doyle, squared up to someone probably half his age. Like I said yesterday, he's Justin Bieber's face and Paul Butler's body, isn't he? But he like squared up to this lad, and then it became a little bit of a mini duel afterwards. And there was a bit where like it was definitely a Plymouth free kick. He like almost left his boot in on his head, to be honest with you. But somehow we got a throw-in out of it. And Callum Doyle just like looked at the lad, laughed at him, like proper duel, like proper like vengeance, and then just looked up at the crowd and kind of like winked, and it was brilliant. But it was stuff like that. There was players on the pitch wanting to win, and I've been really critical of Johnson, and I'm not going to completely 160 on it because we've won a few games, but that was not a performance of a team that doesn't want to play for the manager, which bodes very, very, very well. In terms of the goals, Dave, you mentioned Frankie in the commentary team. You're not a big fan. He was class yesterday. How good was that commentary, man? It was like, see, I love him. I absolutely love both of them. Danny Collins goes without saying, but Frankie's class. But that commentary, that was maybe the best performance of the season, the most I've enjoyed it, and the best commentary afterwards. But the goal was that good, wasn't it? I think everyone just went, woo, whoa, like as soon as he did that, because we haven't seen that since like the Premier League years, really.
Yeah, I think that's the thing with them both. They try to come across, and they are to a degree, they try to come across very professional, understandably, because that's their job. But realistically,
it's like me commentary, isn't it? We're just both dead biased.
Well, yeah, that's it. You just want to be in amongst it. You just want to be a fan. It's a Sunderland channel. Yes, of course, it will be put out to other people and whatever. But that just, to be honest, that bit of commentary there reminded me of. Do you remember the goal? Was it the goal against Newcastle where he goes, he's hit it from the banks of the River Wye, and it's.
Oh, it was Collis Edwards against Burnley.
That's it. Yeah, the great shout. Yeah, and I'm just like that. That was. In fact, let's put it this way: commentary, atmosphere, everything came from that performance yesterday.
Yeah,
and that's it. It's not that easy, but that's where it all comes from. When they perform like that, and let's be honest, everybody else says it. Johnson is a little prick. He's a little prick, and that's how they should play on the pitch, with a bit of swagger at this level, little bit of swagger, little bit of I'm big Bertie Big Bollocks here, and do it.
He got his sixth yellow card of the season yesterday. There was, for the first time in my life, we had a conversation on the ground going, is that his fifth? It must be his fifth. Turns out it's his sixth, but we were like, do you get suspended for 5 yellow cards as a manager? Has a manager ever had 5 yellow cards before? It appears not so, because it must have been his sixth and he's never been in the stands yet. But I agree, like, he does, like other fans you hear speak about Lee Johnson. You don't hear other fans speaking about Jack Ross. They're kind of like, oh, nice fella, yeah, shame didn't work out. Parkinson was like, oh, well, Phil Parkinson. Whereas like Johnson is a bit polarizing, and that does happen in the fan base. But you're right, we should use it to our advantage, like in the way that I don't use Steve Evans Gillingham, because like I'm not going to offend Lee Johnson in that sense, because I know Matt Gillingham, Gills in the Blood, will dislike me saying this, but Steve Evans, not the model manager in my opinion, and not something I'd have anywhere near Sunderland Football Club, Association Football Club, forgive me. But like he does have that polarizing side, and we should probably try and garner it a bit more. I suppose it's hard, because you're not going to win every game. And when you lose 3 games and you lose them heavy, you go, oh, for God's sake, not again. Or you go on one of these like streaks where we're getting beat. Hopefully that doesn't happen. To be fair, in terms of streaks, he's turned this around. It felt like a long time when we were getting beat, but he's turned around fairly fast, to be fair. And that's now 6 games, 4 wins. Oxford, not the greatest performance. Shrewsbury, not the greatest performance, but arguably it goes in off someone's arse. You've won 5 and 6 there, and we're right back in it. But Dan, someone else who's totally turned it around for me. I think we've always knew Pritchard had something about him. He's been outstanding. I thought he was brilliant yesterday. I thought anything decent came from him. Dan Neal's always been great. Diaku's been a bit derided now and again. And there's been conversations had with people going, I think he's horrendous. I think he's one of the worst players I've ever seen. It's like David Bellion. Last 2-3 games, he's been, I was going to say like Steve Malbron, but that's too far. He's been very good. Are we starting to see the Diaku that Lee Johnson brought in?
Yeah, I think so. Well, you've got to think so, but I think half of it is I don't know what Diaku brought in. I don't think he knows, and I don't think Diaku knows yet, because he's so young and he's so inexperienced. I don't think he really knows what he is.
It's like a Union Berlin version and a Bayern Munich version, isn't it? Like, no offense to Union Berlin, who are far superior football club to the one I support, but nonetheless, you get my point.
Yeah. But he's been really good. Last certainly yesterday, Tuesday night, he was decent. Even last Saturday, he was decent. And I think he's been played out of position, you can tell. I still don't know what his position is, but he is playing out of position when he's playing wing back or on the left or whatever. But I think he's slowly getting his head around what this league is and what he can do against whatever opponent comes up. So yesterday he knows, right, this fullback shite, I know I can skin him all day, so that's what I'll do. And that, the the goal for Broadhead, he turned him inside out, 2-3 times, put the ball in, and he was doing that on Tuesday night as well at Morecambe, and the final ball wasn't always there. And I think that is, we hopefully can get into that point where his final ball is there a bit more often, because he is creating plenty of chances in the games. It's just maybe they're not all great chances because the final ball is not the best. But what I've always liked, I think we spoke about him the last one I was on the rock, and it was obviously at the time, was what does he do? He just flies about, and he's obviously very lightweight. He gets flinging around, he just runs around, but he's now running around with a bit more purpose. He does track back, he does try hard. His fitness is good. He's got plenty of energy, and I think he's slowly picking up now that league experience, which he's only would have got with by playing a bunch of games. He's never played in League One before, or even at this level. So I think we know he's got the skill. We can see that with the couple of goals he's got, and just the way he gets into the right positions. It's just his decision making and knowing the teams he's up against, and I think that's what he's starting to get now. And if he can keep working on that and keep improving on that and keep learning, then he's a great starting 11 player, and certainly a good player off the bench to have. And now he's getting that versatility of playing where Johnson wants to play and doing different roles. And he's probably what he thought he was doing when he came. He probably just thought, I'm attacking forward or wide forward. That's me. Take people on, skin them, and get in the box. Yeah, you can do that, but also get back and play simple balls. I think he needs to slow down a bit sometimes and just kind of have a think about it. But
he's rapid, and his brain movements as fast as his feet. He's like,
so that's it.
Oh, I've got the ball.
It's like he's on fast forward sometimes. Yeah, it's like excitable. I've got to do something quick, but which sometimes works, like I said. But then you can see when he thinks, right, I can slow this down, do a couple of step overs or twist and turn it out, and that's what works out for him well. So I think if he does more of that, like I say, get that form of ball right, he'll be a quality player for us the rest of the season.
Just for a bit of analysis, if you take into account, and it's massive credit to Lee Johnson, to be fair, putting Bailey Wright in behind him, because it gives you that solidity. But
we lost a little bit yesterday when Bailey Wright went away from right back. I think a few people touched on it being Embleton and that there, but I actually thought Winchester's. I mean, he's godly, isn't he? He's great. He's lovely. He's lovely, so he is. But I quite like Bailey Wright right back. But sorry, Dave, I cut you off there. But carry on. But yeah,
that's right. But just going to say, for our second goal, if you were looking at it, it'd be interesting to see how Johnson picks up on it, really. But Djaku was probably about 45 yards out of position when Pritchard played that ball over the top corner. He was being a lazy shite. And everyone's forgetting about it, and rightly so, because it was a great bit of skill to turn their fullback inside out 2 or 3 times, like Dan says. But if that ball had broke down, he is literally 45 yards out of position. I don't care, because it was like watching prime Brazil, so I don't give a shit. But yeah, it's good. I think the fact that even if we had lost the ball, for as negative as that sounds, and I'm not being negative, if we'd have lost that ball, the fact that Bailey Wright was in behind him, I think it's massive credit to Lee Johnson for working out that system. That Leon is not the best defensively, but I've got a solid pro in behind him. And to be honest, a couple of points yesterday, Bailey Wright going on overlapping runs out on the right. I'm like, what is happening here? This is unbelievable.
It's like Kieran Trippier in his prime, wasn't it?
Well, I think he's more like the Australian Cafu, if I'm honest. But
yes,
you want their own.
Well, when we signed him, obviously came into the back three. This is going to sound ridiculous, but from a football manager standpoint, I always remember him as a right back because that's what he was listed as. So I was like, but like, do you know those 40-yard diags he normally plays that just go out to play or just go to no one? At right back, they reach people. Like, I don't know what it was. I was like, actually, I thought he was great yesterday, Billy, right? I think that's the thing. I put up a man of the match poll yesterday. I never really do that because it's so subjective, but everyone played so well. And I was trying to pick people, and when I wrote it, I was like, I didn't even put Pritchard in. And I think Djaku is probably mine. Not I quite like about Djaku, going back before I forget, certain players cannot hack Sunderland. That's just the way it is. They just can't, and it's just the way it happens. That they can go and have successful careers elsewhere, but they cannot hack Sunderland. Even when Djaku is playing absolutely pony and playing really badly, he seems to be able to hack playing in front of that crowd and be like, all right, well, fair enough. I'll take the criticism and I'll work for it. I don't want to take the credit for his improvement in form, but I did say Leon Djaku thoughts. I think during the Oldham game, a lot of negative comments came from that, and he's been great since. So, Leon, if you were reading, I I don't mind taking credit for your improvement.
You're welcome.
Yeah, you're more than welcome. You're more than welcome.
That is a good point, though. They say, like, just quickly finishing up on him. He doesn't ever stop. Like you say, like he can have a shite game and a shite ball, but he'll always look for it. He'll always show for it. And like I say, you compare that to some of the players we've had in the past where they've come with big reputations or even not, just can't handle, like you say, the crowd. And you can see, I think I noticed it yesterday, even with the other players, they can see when he tries to do stuff, it doesn't quite come off. They'll still just, give him a tap on the head when they run past him, say, get your head up, keep going, and he will keep going, which is, for his age, is a really good thing to have, because obviously, like I say, other people haven't been able to do that here before. So
the League One Sessegnon, that's what we'll call it. League One Sessegnon. I'll stick with you, Dan. I knew he was decent, but he's actually really good, to the point where I'm like, I don't know if we'd hang on to him even if we did get promoted. Nathan Broadhead, that goal yesterday was outstanding, but his first touch, his ability to drive, it got to a point yesterday where Plymouth just kicked him. But how good is Nathan Broadhead?
Yeah, I'm really enjoying him. Watching him play at the minute. The last couple of games, it's a shame he had that injury when he did at the start of the season, and you can see where he would have been now if he didn't have that. But even without that, he's a hassle, isn't he? He's fast, he's strong. I think he's quite intelligent again for his age, but he's not that young as he was. He's
23 apparently. 23. Yeah, 23.
Yeah, so he's not like a youngster, is he, in that sense? But I guess an experience. And the thing I like about him is, and again, you talked about Football Manager before, but you refer to like YouTube and stuff when you stand up play and you get the goal compilations and stuff. And it's like, all right, yeah, he can score lots of different types of goals on the highlights video for Everton reserves, but he can, and you can see what the goals he's scoring for us. The screamer the other week, yesterday, just a touch of class, right position, lovely finish. The header in midweek, just good positioning, good awareness, and getting the header in. Like, he is that kind of, I'm not going to say all round striker, because again, he's still a young lad playing on League One, but in relative terms, he is, a really good option that we have. That he can play him out wide if he needs to. You can play him down the middle if he needs to, and he's always going to do you something because he's got his pace. I think he's slowly starting to link up with Ross Stewart, and maybe it's having a bit of a knock-on effect on Ross Stewart. But if you talk about Broadhead himself, if we can keep him fit and keep him going, and I think I read yesterday they do have a clause to get him back in January if they wanted to, but the Toronto doesn't think it's likely. But you wouldn't think so. You'd think for Everton, you want to give him a full season. But I think the more he plays, the more he starts, the more he links up with the midfield and Ross Stewart, and just the confidence. Like I said, the confidence yesterday to take that finish on, brilliant. The one the other week on his weaker foot, left foot, top corner. You just need to keep. I think we just need to keep giving the ball in any position and just see let him do what he wants to do, because he can create something out of nothing. Or he's not a one dimensional player, I don't think, which is we've had that a lot in the past. So
he's always impressed me. He's always impressed me in every game. Talking about recent form, but even going back to the Wigan game, Cheltenham, he was superb against Cheltenham. And I know, no offence to Cheltenham and Morecambe, I know it's a different kettle of fish, but Plymouth are a decent side. I know they haven't won in a while. They've lost the manager to a bigger club and stuff like that, but they play decent football. Like, they're not changing too much by going to Schumacher. Like, it's probably a relatively decent appointment. They probably will fall off. Naturally, that kind of happens with the clubs you don't expect to be up there because of squad depth. But they're a decent side, and he's done that job. He did really well against Wigan in the Cup. It's just every game he's played, I've been impressed with him. The only disappointing thing is, I think, a lot of people think his contract's up at the end of the season. It's not. It's up at the end of next season. It's not up at the end of this season. So I think a few people think we can get him in 6 months or so on a free transfer. It's definitely not. He signed a new contract. I think it's a misconception that for some reason Transfer Market has put when his contract ends at Sunderland, which is obviously the end of the season, but he did sign a new 2-year contract before he came here. So if we want him, we're going to have to put some money on the table. But I'd put money on the table. I think it's really important that, Callum Doyle, I don't think it's going to happen because the kid's a joke. Honestly, is his face of Bieber, like body of Paul Butler. Like, that's the only way I can describe him, because he looks so young, and then literally he's got Paul Butler's pie thighs, and you're just like, how did that? But I think City will probably want to take him back and at least give him a chance or put him on loan, maybe another Premier League club at some point before they decide if they want to put him in the first team or not. And I think he will do that. But I think Broadhead at 23, probably behind Calvert-Lewin. I'm going to go out on a whim here and say Broadhead's good, but I don't think he's quite as good as Calvert-Lewin. Who's pretty good, to be fair to him. I think he might struggle to get in the Everton team and play as many games as he wants, and I don't think he'll want to turn 25 and have played another 10 games for Everton because he had a good loan spell, because then he's stunted again. So Nathan, if you're listening, just sign the contract, mate. Pretty much.
I think I think it's a nice conversation to be having. For if you look back and you show how much this squad's evolved from previous years, because had we been sat here absolutely fluking promotion somehow with the likes of my favourite players, Charlie White, hope you get better soon, by the way, Max Power, people like that, would they have took the next level onto Championship football? And I guarantee you the answer is no. Do I think the likes of Broadhead, Stewart, Dejaku, albeit raw and probably not playing 46 Championship games, Dan Neil, maybe Winchester as a squad player, do I see all these players actually bringing something to the table? I most certainly do. There's definitely something there that makes me think they can do a job. Like I say, it might not be all 46 games, but a high percentage of the time. And in comparison to previous squads that we've had, I mean, Callum McFadden, would he ever play Championship football? No, he wouldn't. And you...
God, you've really just ruined my day, man. Sorry, Callum, I'm sure you're a lovely lad, but like...
It's always good for a laugh on a Sunday morning, isn't it?
I just feel like whenever you think of Callum McFadden, it just like, if you ever want me to sum up League One in just a sentence, it's always that interview and he's like, FA Cup game, innit? It's like, oh God, we've signed ex-Plymouth player, so we're technically on we're on point considering it's the Plymouth review, but Plymouth have had a few stinking players: Brendan Galloway, Remy Matthews, and Callum McFadden. Jesus.
But yeah, you'd put that tweet up yesterday. Like, Broadhead's classy. You can see it. He looks classy. And to be honest, as a kid coming on loan, 23-year-old. I mean, in football terms, he's not a kid. But coming up, you want to be. I'd imagine even for his own personal development, let alone at us as a club, he would want to be stamping his authority on football games and standing out at this level. He definitely is. You know, Ross Stewart yesterday. Did he have one half decent chance yesterday? I don't remember having too much, but
yeah.
I thought his link-up play was outstanding yesterday.
He ran the channels really well. I said that yesterday during the game, and again, just I don't think we've touched on it, but Charlie White, I really hope that he gets well soon. Obviously, you know, we've been critical of him as a footballer, but obviously I'm sure he's a great bloke, and you can see by the outpouring of affection that we wouldn't want that to happen to anyone. But just to give a comparison to the striker we had last season, and Charlie White, he scored 31 goals, but I still feel like I felt like if Charlie White didn't score, or strikers previously to him, if he didn't score, they wouldn't really offer much. I felt like Ross Stewart scored about 1 in 5 or 6, but he ran the channels so well yesterday. He gives us an option every single time. And like, I mean, we don't need to talk about this on this podcast, Dave and Dan. We love Roscoe. I absolutely love Ross Stewart. I really, really, really do. But I just thought yesterday, like you say, he was always an option. Didn't have that many chances, but he was always an option. He was always running the channels, always holding the ball up, winning the ball back, pushing high. Like, his performance was as good as other people's as well, despite the fact he didn't get in the score sheet, and despite the fact that he probably wished he had a few more goals at this point. But Ross Stewart is 100% a player that we could take to the Championship if we went up, I think.
Yeah, definitely made for me as well.
In terms of raw talent, Dan, big statement here, right? And I'm putting a lot of pressure immediately on Nathan Broadhead's shoulders. But in terms of natural just talent that you can see in terms of strikers that are just above this level, is Nathan Broadhead the best we've had since Josh Maja?
Yeah.
It's a big shout, but I was thinking this yesterday, so I thought I'm going to bring it up.
It's a good one.
Sorry,
because if you look at the strikers we've had since Maja, and I love Maja just for his pure, just like class clinical finish, and like I say, you talk about players who don't score, you don't see them do a lot else, but if they're scoring, it's fine, and that's what Maja was. It's the finishing, but
drop of the shoulder and just straight in the bottom corner. It's sick.
You think about and you think about what we've had since then. You know, obviously, Greg. We don't need to talk about that, but. And then, you know, White, you can say for what he did, you know, you can't knock the lad for his goal scoring. That's brilliant. And he's, you know, done well at Wigan, and like I say, hopefully he can get back to good health and fitness. But
yeah,
Broadhead is the exciting one, isn't he? Because as good as Ross Stewart is, and as good as we all love him and like and play him, you wouldn't class him as an exciting player. He's a brilliant player, and he puts in brilliant performances. But Broadhead's just got that extra kind of excitement about him, which is what Madja had, because you knew if Madja gets a touch in the box, no matter whereabouts he is, there's a good chance he's going to get it on target and score. Broadhead, if he picks it up on the left wing, in the box on the right wing, again, you get excited because you think he's going to do something, or he can do something. He's got the ability to do something, whereas we've never had that before, like, or since Madja, or since, God knows, the last, I don't know, before, even with him again.
Joel Asoro.
God, that's another memory for the Sunday mornings.
I don't even know where he is now.
That's a good point, actually. Was he still at Swansea? Was it Swansea he went to?
He went to Groningen at some point. Joel Asoro, where are you? He's blocked me on Twitter. I don't know why. Generally have no idea. He plays for, he's gone back to Sweden. He's still only 22 though.
You probably put a big statement out saying he's going to be the next big thing, and he thought the pressure was too much. But,
I definitely did. I'm pretty sure I did that.
Yeah. But I go back to I love Broadhead. I think he's class. And I think he is, alongside with people like Jacku and Ross Stewart and Pritchard, like I say, we've got exciting players again who can pull good attacking play out rather than just one-dimensional. I think that's what the big change for me this year is the fact that we're not just one-dimensional anymore. And obviously, when you've got the players that can do, cross it in, head it in, perfect. If it works, why not? But this time we don't have to do that because of people like Broadhead. You can do a bit of everything, which is really good to have.
A much better football team than we have been in ages. And I know, like this time last week, I was tearing my hair out, but that's football. Get on with it. Don't whinge. Something yesterday, I noticed Dave Wright, and I love him, so I'm really loath to admit it. We're not really missing McGeady, are we?
No, mate.
I forgot he was injured and that he wasn't on the pitch, and I would have not been there last year. Like this time last year, I would have been like, "Oh, McGeady! If we had McGeady," but we're not really missing him, are we?
I've said it quite a few times this season. I think he's a number 10. He's just in behind. And to be honest, looking at the way we're playing with a high tempo and trying to get in people's faces, he's probably a number 10 in the last 20 minutes. If you need a little bit of magic, and you can't, hey, what a career he's had. I'm not writing him off. I think he'll still do a job for us when we need it later on in the season. But I think sometimes injuries can be a blessing in disguise, as weird as that sounds, because dare I say it, we all know that I'm not his biggest fan. He's a lovely lad. And I want him to come and have a cup of tea with me and my mum and dad. But like Luke O'Nien is just not. He's a limited footballer, and I hate going in on him because I just love his smile. But it almost seemed at one point that everything was centering around Luke O'Nien. Like, why is he taking free kicks? I mean, he was going to be on goal kicks next, I think. I'm just like, I just don't get it. Oh, he's done well in practice. All right, well done.
Yeah, that was. I mean, I'm a big Luke O'Nien fan as a footballer and as a man, but I didn't get that.
So it's just like we've had to find a way to play without him and not put him in different roles to try and accommodate, which I presume was probably one of the reasons for him signing a contract. Like, we're going to try and build the squad around the team around you. Possibly, who knows? We'll never know them conversations. But yeah, we've almost had to go a little bit gung ho, which is a counterbalance to how I think we have been playing. But we've had to put them.
The Bailey Wright situation, you'd never put him at right back.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just like, it's took us back to the beginning of the season where we were playing open, fluid football, but we were a little bit exposed at the back. And realistically, we didn't look too troubled yesterday. Okay, they had the ball in decent positions every now and again. But other than a very, very, very soft corner, which we've conceded from, and, that needs people to man up a little bit and put their stamp on defending corners like that because it was weak. I suppose you could put a little bit of blame at Hoffman as well.
That was bad from Hoffman. If there's one negative.
I think...
sorry, Dan, go on.
No, sorry, just to jump in on that, because I remember it was Flanagan's man, wasn't it? And I think if you watch Flanagan in the build-up, and the 5 minutes before, when it was getting quite feisty, he was getting amongst it. I think it was his man who scored. And I think just before the corner's taken, obviously the jostling, they're doing the usual corner stuff. And I think Flanagan gives him a little push to get him out of the way. But what that actually does is then puts him out of position. And then the striker gets ahead of him. I think if he just concentrated on not the blocking and the shit housing behind the referee's back, if he just marked him, and obviously, Hoffman maybe could have done better. But I do think Flanagan probably took his eye off it because he was too busy getting involved in the fighting. Well, not fighting, but you know what I mean?
Loves the Argo, does Flano. Yeah, absolutely.
He got in a few times in the second half.
He does.
I sat next to his brother-in-law at the start of the season, and I remember saying, I was like, Flano loves the Argo, doesn't he? He was like, yeah, he does. Yeah, he really likes it. And I was just like, I just knew. We've got just over 3 minutes left. So I'll come to you, Dan, actually, right? So 2 questions. And you're technically timed as well, says Zoom. Man of the match, and what does the result mean in the context of Sunderland's season?
Man of the match, I'll go Jaku. I think it was very close between 2 or 3 of them. But I think because of what we were saying before, because of the improvement he's had over the last few games and the effect he had in the game yesterday, I'll go him. I really enjoyed it. For the rest of the season, I think it's a big result because of not just positionally, because of where they were. Obviously, placed behind us, good team, good strong team. But taking the back of winning against Morecambe on Tuesday night, that's fine. You should take that all day. But I think what this does is it should give the lads confidence. And like I say about that second half, and then what you said about playing for the team, playing for the manager, I'm hoping they're going to take into this next couple of weeks. Obviously, the busy Christmas schedule, but that battling and getting stuck in the second half, and the team up all around the pitch, everyone was working together. I'm hoping that's what they can take in and get the lads back from injuries, get some of the stronger players back in, and then everyone's just working together for that. We're back on top now, back at within touch and distance again. They'll take the confidence from it and hopefully push us through into the new year and maybe get some new bodies in, but just give the lads that teamwork and confidence to move on.
Dave, same question to you.
For me, I'm going to go Broadhead. The more I see him, the more of a run of the team he gets. I think he just keeps looking classier and classier. Although I must admit, Pritchard impressed me massively yesterday as well. So a special shout out to him. And I'm going to go, considering I was very negative last Saturday, Sunday as we recorded, I'm going to go exactly the same response to the question of what it means in the context of the season. At the minute, absolutely nothing. In a week's time, we'll chat about it again. We'll see how we get on after Ipswich next week. And I think that's it. Just week to week, game to game. It's boring. It's such a cliche. It's such a really boring response. And I apologise for anyone listening because we all know that I normally like a divisive comment. But yeah, it's just grinding them out. It's just, we didn't grind out anything yesterday. Maybe it's towards the end. But yeah, just keep building. Just none of this, if a 2 or 3 game bad streak happens. So we'll keep going, but I'll reserve for the whole season. And on the next week.
Aye, on the next week, Ipswich, then Arsenal, who of course we will beat, because I'm going. But thanks everyone for listening as always. Not always the easiest thing to do, if I'm completely honest, the podcast, as I've said, sort of online this week, but really enjoyed doing it, and it's been great this week. So please, Sunderland, just keep winning. Do subscribe. Thanks to Dave, thanks to Dan. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday, mate.
All the best, mate.
Cheers, lads. Cheers.